and while other men die, I'm telling you that Jesus is still on the throne of glory, and He has not been deposed. He will never be deposed, because He is the Almighty God, and everyone will bow before Him. Well, but preacher, you just don't understand. Oh, I think I do. I know that when anybody has been at one place as long as I have here, there are always things that are forbidding about what might be in the future. By the way, the devil will make you play mind games. He'll begin to make you think, well, what if? And I want you to know that when you start playing mind games with the devil, he's going to whip you. He's going to beat you. You'll be the loser. But when you come back and the devil begins to speak to you, just say to him, Jesus is the Lord of the kingdom. Jesus is the Lord of the church. You've heard it before. It's an old joke, but it's about the man who came to Conway. And as he came in, he was looking for the church of God. And he saw an old boy in the Spit and Whittle Club. He is sitting out on a Coke crate out in front of the filling station. And so he pulled in and he said, hey, mister, can you tell me where the church of God is in this town? And the old boy thought a minute and he spat and he said, well, mister, the Joneses have a church down here on this street, and the Smiths have a church over yonder on that street, and the Bakers have a church down yonder. But if God's got a church in this town, I don't know where it is. I want you to know that God does have a church, and it's this one, and I thank God that He is the commander of our force. And I'm telling you that He is the one who oversees all things and gives victory to His people. It's time that we discover who is the king of this kingdom. You see, if you discover that, you know what will happen? You'll stop fighting over your bit of turf. By the way, may I say to you, it's not your class, it's not your piano, it's not your organ, it's not your drums, it's not your pew, it's not your building, it belongs to God. And I'm telling you, if we understand that, we'll all be a whole lot better off than what we are. Bless the name of God. Don't you just get a little bit sick of those folks who are old sour pussies, and they just like old toad frogs swell up when somebody sort of gets over on their turf? Well, this is my seat. This is my Sunday school class. I want you to know who voted. Who said it was yours? I'm telling you, it's not yours, it's God's. And everything in it. Well, I gave this. Well, take it home. We'd be better off without it if it's yours, because everything that we are and what we're about, it all belongs to God. Hey, if we do that, it don't make any difference who's teaching the Sunday school class, does it? As long as Jesus gets the glory. It doesn't make any difference whether you sit in a straight back chair, an old metal chair, or a lazy boy. As long as God is honored by what's done. And I'm telling you that He is the key to the kingdom. And as long as He is the king and the key, then all of us can just follow Him through anything that comes along. Bless the name of God. Who is the king of the kingdom? It's none other than Jesus. I wish I had time to hang out there a little while. I'd probably upset some folks before I was through. But I'm telling you that we need to. One of my friends went to visit in the church. They were on vacation. And so they went to this church. They heard about it, and they wanted to hear the pastor speak. And they went in, and it was a large church and a growing church. And instead of wonderful padded pews like we have, they had those pads that just laid in the seat. And so these folks went in, as a man and a wife, and he had a couple of little children. And the seat that they selected, they got there before Sunday school was over. The seat that they selected, the pad wouldn't cover the whole pew. And so he just reached down and slid it down to his side. And they sat down on it. In a little while, Sunday school was over, and these folks started coming out and filling up the church. And one dear old lady came in, and that was her seat. And she looked at them mad because they were on her pew, and she turned and sat down, and thinking that there was a pad, sat down sort of hard, and her hip bones just crashed against that old wood, and she looked at them as though they had done something terribly wrong. They called the first song, and people stood up, and when they stood up, she reached down and slid the pad back to her side. And they sat down after the prayer, and when they announced another song, my friend was just as cantankerous as she was. He slid it back down to his side. And when she realized what was going on, she said to him, I want you to know this is my pew and that's my pad. He said, I want you to know I'm sitting on your pad too. Wouldn't move. Have you known people? Sure you have. They decided this is mine. Grandpa gave the land. Grandma is the one who made the covers for the back of the chairs in our Sunday school class. And it's ours. We're going to take care of it. I'm here to tell you, friend, if that's your attitude, you need to pack your bag and find you another hangout. Because this place belongs to God, and everything in it belongs to Him. Praise be God. It belongs to the King. I will try to be faithful. Look at the men of the kingdom. Who is in this kingdom that we're praying about? Thy kingdom come. Thine is the kingdom. There are men of all kinds. Aren't you glad God didn't cull folks? Aren't you thankful that He just said, whosoever will? Whosoever will. I'm thankful that I pastor a church where rich folks can sit right beside the folks that don't have anything. I'm thankful that I have a place here that I've pastored for all this time where the uneducated are just as much at home as the educated. I'm grateful to God that old folks are comfortable just like young folks are comfortable in this church. I'm thankful that it doesn't make any difference what state you came from or what county you live in. I'm thankful that we're a people who don't mind if you've got a good tan or if you don't have any tan at all. Because it all and we all belong to Jesus. And I don't want it any other way. Do you? I pray that this church will always have an open door policy. Men of all kinds, men of all levels, men of different gifts, men of vision, men of prayer, men who are trusting God to work in our hearts. It was in 1855 that America was at one of her lowest points in her entire history. She had won her independence by declaring her freedom in 1776. And the Revolutionary War was over, and America settled in to grow. But over a process of time, America became spiritually and socially bankrupt. We were the highest nation in the world of per capita consumption of alcohol in 1855. America was just before going into the Civil War, as you know. America was almost bankrupt because of the bad condition of her economy. We had hit a low point, it seemed, from which there was no turning back. It was in that time that God spoke to a man by the name of Jeremiah Lampere in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and told him to go to New York City and there to announce and hold prayer